Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of On the Air with Tim and Ken. Ken, I think we missed a few days or about a week behind, but we're back at it. Good to see you.
Tim, great to be back. Sorry to everybody. My day job got in the way a little bit here. So hit like, hit subscribe so that, we can devote our full attention to you.
We're keeping calm down, but good to be back. I want to thank all the viewers, subscribers. I did hear from a couple of folks, Ken. They said podcast again, so a few folks missed it, so we appreciate that. And just a disclaimer, everyone sit back and enjoy. I am going to get into a Jason Gay article later on in the podcast, hopefully, and I'll attribute that to him when we get there. But other than that, just sit back and enjoy. And I think you want to say a few things, Ken.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for watching, and we look forward to doing these. So, but we're just here to have some fun and share some things with you, and we love hearing your feedback.
All right. Let's get into it. There's a lot going on. March Madness, World Baseball, everything's coming on real fast and furious. We're going to try to cover 6 or 7 things today and get through them in a reasonable way, and hopefully everyone will pick up something new. I just wanted to start, Ken, last time we did the podcast, it was about an hour after the men's U.S. hockey team had won the gold in that exciting game over Canada 2-1. And we did the podcast, and I forgot to mention, I feel terrible about it. The previous day, the U.S. women's team did the exact same thing, also beat Canada 2-1 to win the gold medal. So I wanted to congratulate the women for their incredible performance and their incredible victory. I forgot that day because I was so enthralled with the men's tournament, but shame on me. Congratulations, women. Great tournament.
Yeah, it was a great game. I mean, I've actually watched a lot of women's hockey over the last month or so, and we're going to get into our alma mater, Quinnipiac, and then the women's. Yep. What a great job they did this year. And, one of the Quinnipiac women hockey coaches, Brent Hill, was an assistant on the women's Olympic hockey team. So, what an honor. Congratulations to him and the women's Olympic hockey team.
That's great. A couple of footnotes on the Olympics, and then we'll move on to some baseball stuff. Let's see, I know what I was going to say on the Olympics. As a result of the women's notoriety there, it looks like StubHub has seen all that, and now they're launching a new line of business, so to speak, called Her Sports Hub. It's a dedicated ticket thing just for women's sports, and they said it just boomed from the U.S. women's hockey team. So the women are coming into their own in all sports. It's great to see. We're going to talk about that a little bit later on when we get to the WNBA. But it's great to see that the women are finally getting the notoriety they deserve. So congratulations there. And if you want women's sports tickets to sporting events, check out Her Sports Hub. I've never tried it, but it's a new effort. Real quick, during the Olympics, apparently there were 9 new Olympic records and 1 world record in the 500-meter short track. Apparently the entire Olympics went off very smoothly, very successful. And the next Winter Olympics will be in France in 2030. So if you enjoyed this one, you might want to start thinking about going to France in 2030. So get ready for that, Ken. We're going to move on to something a little bit warmer than Winter Olympics. Baseball spring training. We have a subscriber and a viewer, Bill, and his wife, Loretta. They live in Southwest Florida. They're Red Sox fans and baseball fans, and they just wanted to share with us. They attended Fenway Park South, as I call it, JetBlue Park, formerly known down in the Fort Myers area. It's where the Red Sox have their spring training games, and they were there for Fan Appreciation Day. So they went, they shared some nice photos with us. Apparently, they met the mascot, Wally, the Green Monster, and they introduced him to our podcast, so that was good. So hopefully,
Awesome.
we'll have a few photos up there from their day. It looked really nice. So if you're down that way, get out to that park. It looks beautiful. And whether you know it or not, that park is an exact replica, other than the seating, the field itself, and the wall is a replica of the real Fenway Park, which is a great experience, not just for the fans, but as you think this through, it gives the players, the coaches, an opportunity. Some of them have never been to Fenway Park and played there. This is training. You got rookies, you got people coming in from all teams. Or if they have, it's a way to refresh it and see how the ball reacts off the wall, how your defense does. Are you going to go from second to third off that wall? So when you play half your games at Fenway Park, it's really neat to have that experience to be able to train and play in a spring training facility that replicates your ballpark, because Fenway Park is so unique. So I thought that was just another advantage the Red Sox have. The fans have a great experience. The players have a great learning curve there. Coaches can see how they react. And Major League Baseball opens up this week.
And what a great thing to do, right? Like, I mean, you don't think Fenway Park's so unique. I mean, I've fortunate to been a couple times in my life. I'm sure you've been more because you're closer, but to have that, it is awesome to see, the big green monster. But to get that in a minor league park or a preseason park, is really got to be a special thing, and it probably does help the players a lot.
Yeah.
How to play and adjust for the short distance that it is down the left field line there.
And the quirky lines, the triangle, this and that, and the little nuances. So it's a great experience for the fans and a great experience for the players as well. So if you have a chance to get out to that ballpark and see a game, I think they have games here in the summer that obviously aren't the Red Sox, but there's another sort of team that plays there, so you get a chance to see the park. And like I said, Major League Baseball opens this week, Wednesday, March 25th. There's one game that night. Then the next day, Thursday, I think the full was like 14 games. So here it is, folks. March Madness and Major League Baseball all in 1 week.
Starting before the end of March Madness.
Yeah, it's early this year. I think it's the earliest they said ever, possibly. So it is early. But so we'll move on from there. Ken, I don't know if you wanted to get into the WNBA or if you wanted to get into some golf updates first.
Well, let's start with the WNBA. Congratulations, they've come to a deal. I wasn't so sure they would, but signed the deal through 2032. They have there's a lot of increased revenue over the last couple of years, even though the first, they struggled financially for many years. But congratulations to both sides. Long-term deal when the product is really starting to gain traction. They started their games in May. The women's NCAA tournament, even though it's top heavy, is going to be really exciting. And you've got some real powerhouses in the women's game. They play phenomenal basketball. It's very exciting to watch, and to have that be kind of lead into the season of the WNBA. Just congratulations to both sides. There's going to be more money for the players, more money for travel for them. More money to improve officiating, more money all the way around. And it was very big for them to get a revenue sharing deal.
Yes.
With it's easy to share billions of dollars, with, when you're in the little less than with the WNBA, you got a lot of expenses to pay for. So that, they've agreed to a revenue sharing model.
Yeah.
And just congratulations to both sides. It's exciting that they're going to start on time or close to on time.
No, it's great. We had our doubts about that as the deadline was looming, and we certainly expressed that. And it's so good. It's so good for the players, for the league, for the fans. Like you said, it's a 7-year deal. It's got a great framework in place. Like you said, the revenue sharing. There's minimum salaries that seem like the players are thrilled about. So they got a great framework in place. Congratulations to everybody. I'm sure that was not an easy negotiation, but sometimes when you have a deadline like opening day, that gets things done. And I'm just thrilled for the fans, for the players, for the league. It's phenomenal to see that. And like you said, it's going to come rolling in right after the NCAA tournament. So great timing, and hopefully they'll get off to a great start. Congratulations. All right. Let's pick up, I guess, with golf. I don't know if there's much going on in the golf world, but I know golf is underway.
Well, I don't know if you watched the TPC Championship a week ago, but just what a dramatic ending with it's for those of you that know or don't know, it's where you see the island green and the 17th TPC Sawgrass. Ludwig Abark looked like he was going to walk away with it, and a lot of water on the back nine, and he started to find some. He lost a 3-shot lead, and then Matt Fitzpatrick got the lead, won over Cameron Young. They were playing in the second to last group, and Cameron hit a gutsy shot on 17 over the water there and kind of snuck it into about 10 feet, made the birdie putt to tie it, and then got fortunate when Matt 3-putted the 18th. And so just an exciting tournament. Great way to kind of start the golf season with the Masters coming up in a few weeks.
Great tournament.
It's kind of really the first tournament that everybody's going to kind of look at and focus on if you're a golf fan and you're into that.
Yeah, great tournament, great venue. Obviously, all the big stars were there. It was great to see, and now we have you get the Masters coming up in a couple of weeks, and everyone's asking about Tiger. I don't think he's formally announced anything one way or the other. He's got that back issue, and he's trying to work through that. But I don't know if you've heard
He's
any more
talked
on
about
that.
it, but he is not committed either way. It's his seventh back surgery. He did turn 50 at the end of December. So I'm sure he's gonna, give it everything he's got to be there. He's got an automatic exemption into the tournament, so it's not like he's taking somebody's spot if he were to withdraw. I'm sure he's gonna wait till the very last minute to make a decision. But just getting back to TPC for 1 second, it was great to see Brooks Koepka back out there.
That's right.
He finished tied for 13th. It's the tour he belongs on,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was great to see him out there playing well and starting to find his game. So he's going to be a player to be reckoned with again. So
He is. He's getting back at it. He's not there to lose. And if Tiger's no one competes more than Tiger. Tiger wants to be at the Masters more than anybody. So if he can do it, he'll be there, and everyone's going to be rooting for him. It'll be just a great thing. Let's hope he can get there. Just so we can, just for our own interest, so we can enjoy it.
absolutely, love to see Tiger back playing.
I was watching CNBC the other morning, and they had one of the guests on, Brian Rolap. He's the new CEO of the PGA. He came on board this past year. Apparently, he's the heir apparent to become commissioner at the end of the year. And the reason I bring his name up is they put him out there for the first time, and he had a big career with the NFL and media rights and all that, 20 plus years. So he's very successful at what he does. So he's going to promote golf from the PGA. And I just want to give you some highlights of what he spoke about on CNBC the other day. He mentioned that viewership is mostly 65 and older crowd. So he wants to work on that. While the players, a lot of younger people are playing it, and players of the rounds of golf have picked up 45% from COVID. The folks that watch on Saturday and Sunday afternoons or whenever is mostly 65 and older. So what he's looking to do is he's looking to transform that a little bit. Didn't get exactly specific, but he gave enough hints. He said he's looking to develop a bigger opening tournament. In a clearly defined playoff system. I watch some golf, as you know, and the playoff system is a little bit trying to figure it out. You need a Rubik's Cube and a slide rule or something to figure out the point system. So he is going to try to define that so that everyone's more in tune with that. And I think he's going to try to move some of the playoff and end of the season stuff to the West Coast, so it's possibly on prime time on the East Coast, which would be really neat to see. He was asked about live golf updates. It didn't say a lot. He said, I'll do anything that enhances the PGA. So, of course, he left the door open. So anything that helps the PGA, he'll do. It sounds like he's got an open mind to all this, but he's a seasoned guy in the sports media business with the NFL. He's come on. He understands what the issues are as far as viewership, as far as the game of golf, and he wants to bring it to another level and keep it strong. And let's hope that at some point, at least I'd like to see a lot of these live golfers come back to the PGA. I think it would be really exciting.
Look, I would love to, we've talked about a lot over the last year. Love to have everybody back on one tour. I think there's a lot of challenges for television viewership in golf.
Yeah.
It's on network TV for the most part. So, the older crowd tends to be the cable crowd, and everybody I talk to, 40 and under, they're streaming something. I don't see them sitting down to watch,
Right.
a golf event, spend 2 or 3 hours. I think golf, you watch it for the majors and, on a weekend where it's raining where you are and there's nothing else to do but turn the TV on. So I think he's got his work cut out for him. I give him an A for trying to be creative and to come up with ideas. But
Yep.
I think that's going to be the first thing they need to do is get everybody on one tour so that you've got one, main set of players, and that's what to me the biggest thing he needs to solve first.
Yeah, and I do think he's smart to address the playoff system, because the point system, I don't know how you keep that score, but it's fun to watch the golf because you like the golf, but the scoring system, I can't follow that at the end of the year. But it is what it is. He's identified it. He's going to work on it. So let's hope he can get something done.
Go to match play, right? Like match play, is the one thing that I think in golf that, makes you keep attuned, right? Like you see it in why is March Madness so great, right? It's single elimination,
Right.
it's not 4 out of 7 like in NBA and hockey. It's why pro football's great and college football's great in the playoffs. It's single elimination. And I think that, you know, in golf, if you're going to do something, go to match play. You know, get on a course
Yep.
like Sawgrass where there's a lot of risk reward
Yeah.
and, you know, and go for match play and make that be, you know, instead of trying, I mean, they tried the thing where you got a 10-stroke lead if you were the number one. I mean, like I
No,
think it's just not appealing. You know, because the majors are so defined that I don't know what you do, but I think match play on a really a risk reward course would draw some interest or could draw some interest.
I agree. You get some great matchups. You get a hot player. Anything can happen on any given day, like they say in football, and makes it very exciting that way. It keeps everybody competitive. Like you said, when someone's got a 10-shot lead, it's ho hum. You don't even know how they got there, but you can't keep track of it. But we'll see what he comes up with. Right now, golf's doing well. Let's see where they go with Liv. Koepka's back. Tiger may play. You know, the game's in a pretty good spot. He wants to keep going with it though. All
We look
right,
forward to it.
I'm looking one of your favorite. I'm going to move on to Lane Kiffin.
Lane, the guy that keeps on giving to us. So Lane has
Yes.
offered a college scholarship to an eighth grader from Louisiana.
Yep.
So that means he'll be eligible to play in the fall of 2030, which would be Lane's fifth season at LSU. He's had 5 head coaching jobs. Only once has he made it past season 3 at a coach. So he's probably recruiting a young man that he won't even be there
No.
by the time he gets there.
No.
You know, so it's really comical. We love Lane because he does things like this.
Makes it easy for us.
It's just easy material. So it kind of writes itself. But yeah, we don't, you know, why are you recruiting an eighth grader? I mean, focus on next year's team because if you go 500, they're going to be looking to fire you. And
Yeah, try to get through one season. You
yeah,
know, don't leave during the playoffs, right in front of right before the playoffs. I mean, see if you can
yeah,
do that see if you can go 2 consecutive years.
right.
You know,
Without interviewing for a job or taking a phone call for an interview.
right. I get some interesting notes on RJ West Jr. He's the eighth grader that's been recruited. He's a track and football star, and like Ken said, he's out of Louisiana. He runs he ran the 100 meters in 10 and a half seconds. Now, to put that in perspective, the world record for the 100 meters is by Usain Bolt. You might remember that name. It's an appropriate name for a speedster like him. He has the world record at the 100 meter at 9.58 seconds, and RJ at age 14 is 10 and a half seconds. So RJ gets up to a cruising speed of over 21 miles an hour in those 10 and a half seconds. I probably can't get my car up to 20 miles in 10 seconds, but that's how fast this kid is and how talented he is. So he's been recruited. He's only 8th grade. Obviously a gifted and talented young guy, and I hope everything works out well for him in track and field and football, whatever he chooses in life. You know, I don't know if he's declared a major yet, but we'll see. Oh man, you can't make it up. But thank you, Lane Kiffin, for that material. We'll look again in a week or two to see what else you're up
We'll
to.
have something else for us.
It makes it way too easy. Yeah.
So Tim, we're recording this first weekend of March Madness. Best time of year.
Yep.
You know, I know you've done a lot of research on the Jason Gay article, trying to tie the finances into what's going on here. It's tell us what he said.
I will. So thanks, Ken. Thanks for the leader. Jason Gay, he's a columnist with the Wall Street Journal. And back on March 10th of this year, he wrote a beautiful article. And for those of you folks, you've heard me rant and rave about this, and Ken to a lesser extent, because Ken's much more eloquent at it, getting into the NIL money, the portal money, the transfer, it's just not working. So I'm gonna quote some things from Jason Gay, and I'm gonna attribute to him also. But before I do that, I want to just give a quick overview of the NCAA, how we kind of got here. The NCAA has been around a long time. My talk's not going to go on for a long time. So the NCAA was established in 1906. The purpose of it was to regulate the rules of college sport and protect young athletes. The reason they did that in 1906 was back in 1904, there were 18 deaths and 19 serious injuries mostly in football during those collegiate games. So they realized they had to do something, get the NCAA together, form this group. So that was President Theodore Roosevelt. He urged the group to clean up the game. So in 1906, they came out with the rules, and the NCAA was formed. It didn't become known as the NCAA until 1910. So that's the history. Now you fast forward over 100 years later. Today, the NCAA is out there. They got $1.6 billion per year in revenue. 60% goes to Division I schools. And March Madness generates about 85% of that total revenue, just to give you a perspective of why this is important. So now I want to get into the Jason Gay article from March 10th. So what Jason wrote, and the reason I'm going to read some of it and give him, attribute it to him, because he can do it much more eloquently than I can. This is what he said. The business of college sports has slipped so hard from public flavor that all you have to do is mutter college sports and everyone just shakes their head woefully. But nobody's rolling back the clock and saying scholarships are sufficient compensation. Players are getting paid, end of story. All right. So he goes on to talk about all the problems with college sports. We've talked about it. Today you have 26-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. Clearly there's a problem there. The transfer portal is a mess. Really no one knows how to work that. And when players do transfer legally, their own collegiate school sues them, even though they're doing everything properly. So now, how do you pay these athletes? That they can get paid now, NIL money, name, image, or likeness. And then on top of that, the schools can pay them money from the money they get from the NCAA. So it's all over the board. Coaches are leaving. Lane Kiffin's getting $50 million here, then he leaves. Players are all over the place. There's a lot of problems with it. Obviously, there's no continuity to it. It'll make the sports shrink to just a couple of sports. All the money will get focused into football and basketball, probably on the men's side. So field and track will go away, swimming, all these secondary, what I'll call secondary sports that don't generate revenue will go away. And the idea of collegiate sports will be lost. The collegiate will be lost. Collegiate sports work towards a way to build up your Olympic athletes. Get those, keep that going for Olympics. We all love the Olympics. So Congress is out there, and they're going to try to address this. Well, maybe not Congress, but the president. I'm not going to make it political, but the president had a round table, and he's trying to crack some skulls to get things together to try to address this. They're going down two paths. One with, like you said, the dreaded Congress to try to come up with an idea. Good luck on that. The president's going to sign an executive order cleaning up. Good luck with that. So I just want to bring all this up because, like what happened at the round table was, this has to get dealt with now, because if you go through another season like this at the NCAA level, there'll be much more damage. We don't know whether this money is good or bad for these young athletes at $2, $3, $5 million, and then they get no college education. They get nothing. They get nothing. That there's no loyalty to the team. There's no loyalty to the school. You get, like I said, you get 26-year-olds playing against 18-year-olds. It's a mess. So in any event, you are going to need some sort of, if it goes through Congress, and I hate to say that because God will rely on that for anything, you will need some sort of an antitrust exemption, meaning that you can get this back to the point where the NCAA can make certain rules that you couldn't make in the business world. In other words, you could discriminate and do things. But it sounds like no matter what the outcome is, these athletes will get paid something going forward. How much, we don't know. It's a lot of work there. Ken, you talked about the athletes becoming almost employees.
I think an out-of-the-box idea on this, really, and it may sound crazy, is let college football and men's college basketball and, I don't know, women's college basketball is probably the next big thing, and think, let them be in for-profit entities. Let them spend the money that they raised. We did a story back in the fall about somebody donated $400 million to Michigan State athletics.
Right.
Let's take and taking tax deductions for this. Let's take that money out of this. You want to give money to college, you ain't getting no tax deduction for it. And you won't have these massive buyouts I think that if you, let private equity take over and, maybe it's a partnership with the university that you're going to have, the football team, say Michigan football team, a for-profit entity, they rent the stadium and they're going to control what the real expenses are. Like, and not have these being paid for with taxpayers' tax deductions.
Right.
And I think if you take out the charitable money, the heavy donors, and there's this, I'm down in North Carolina currently, and there's rumors Hubert Davis may get fired, the UNC coach, because they lost in the first round again. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of, pay off his $5.6 million buyout because they gave all the money to our buddy Bill Belichick, that they don't want to come up with more alumni money, right? Like, let's turn this into a for-profit. And when you do things for profit, you don't see the NBA guys writing off $100 million coaching contracts,
Right.
right? You don't see in the NFL them writing off coaching contracts for $75 million and then spending $100 million on the next coach, like they're doing in college. And I think that's almost an easier way to fix this. And if a player doesn't want to get paid and wants to go to school for 4 years, he can do that. That can be the trade-off. You get one or the other. You get the college scholarship and you go to class, or you're a pro athlete.
Well, it's an interesting proposition. We'll see. I'm going to just finish up with what Jason gave to summarize all this mess. And no one knows the outcome, but there's a lot of thoughts out there. So what Jason wrote was, he said, "There's no doubt this is a fresh nightmare, thick with complications, to say nothing about impact on non-revenue and Olympic sports. But this is the road schools and conferences set themselves on a long time ago, when they learned the hard way, when they leaned into college sports as a business. College sports didn't wind up at the White House by accident. They've been heading there all along. I think his point is the NCAA has been the driver on this for so long. They kept things too tight, too wrapped. The players were, you couldn't give a $50 lunch to a player or a recruit years ago. It was against the NCAA rules. Now the courts have said otherwise, and that's opened it up. The NCAA couldn't keep up with that. They've lost control of it. There's a lot of money flying. They can't get the genie back in the bottle. So it's gonna take a big fix to fix this, but it has to get fixed soon. Otherwise, it just gets worse and worse. You don't want to see this go on like this.
Oh, it's out of control. It's you have kids trying to play until they're 30 because it's the only guaranteed money they're going to get as a pro athlete. They're not good enough to play in the next level. So, and you're paying for this with, the students' education, the ones that are really going to these universities, right? Their costs are going up because you got to pay for this.
Yeah.
And
it's a mess. Hopefully they can come up with something quickly. It might not be the perfect, they won't get it right the first time, but let's see if they can move it in the right direction, whatever that is. Because right now it's not working. It's off the not working. All right, but that's my rant on that. I'm going to leave that alone. Let's see what comes out. I've beaten that thing up pretty good. If something definitive comes out in the next 3 to 6 months, I would expect something. We'll keep you updated. But let's move on.
It's an interesting look at it. It's very interesting, and it's going to be really interesting to see where they go to try to slow this down. Like they're not even on a slowdown path right now.
No, there's nothing in place. There's no guardrails. There's nothing. There's nothing out there right now. It's still a mess. It's going on this way for a while.
Well, you have universities suing their students to try to keep them in school.
Right. And trying to recoup money that they paid them and then they accepted it legally. It's right. We lost our way.
We've lost our way.
And I think the NCAA's lost their way. And, they're just as guilty on this as anybody because they're right at the core of it. They didn't get out in front of it. They haven't reacted well to it. So, they're the regular in the whole thing, but we'll see. All right, Ken, let's move on. We're running out of time here. Let's see. Do we want to get into?
We're going to get into Frozen Four.
Yeah.
So today was the men's ice hockey selection show.
Just a few minutes ago.
And the Quinnipiac men our alumni. They are going to Sioux Falls, South Dakota to play Providence.
All right. Oh, great matchup.
So, they have to, I guess, fly a couple thousand miles. They couldn't meet like in New Haven or something.
Right. But they're an hour apart. Right.
And we'll talk more about the next episode. What I really want to address is the Quinnipiac women's hockey team. What a fabulous season they had. I was able to watch a number of the games, and they're really good. I mean, they won the ECAC in the first ever championship that was held at Lake Placid. They won the opening round game in the NCAA tournament and then lost to the defending champions, Wisconsin, who's actually playing for back-to-back championships right now. But they are really good. It was really exciting to watch. The skill set is unbelievable. The speed they play at. Just congratulations on a great season to both
Congratulations.
teams.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think we got a really interesting story for our next episode on the Quinnipiac women's basketball team and coach who's retiring, which we'll get into the next episode. But we're not the biggest donors to our alma mater, but we do follow. We do follow, and
we support them. So
yes.
we're thrilled to report all this. And on this episode, we had a lot of good updates on women's sports. So that was really nice. And, and during March Madness, everyone, I wish everyone well with their brackets if you're still in there. I know a lot of people got crushed early on, but enjoy March Madness, opening day baseball, and we'll be back soon.
Yeah, we'll be back sooner. Yep. So hit like, hit subscribe, follow us on X, on their Tim Ken podcast. And Tim, great seeing you again.
Ken, good to see you. And thanks, everyone. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.